Hello, friends. I'm really, really delighted to be here with you today. I am here with my good friend, Lauren Jubelirer. We're going to have a dive today into the astrology and the human design of what is going on in our cosmos right now. And you're going to get a special treat. So I really encourage you to stay on until the latter part of the session because Lauren's going to take us on a beautiful inner journey that's going to really help us to align with the energies that are happening right now. So I just want to say that at the beginning so that you want to stay on for that. But we have just a super potent and dynamic and auspicious alignment that is coming up this weekend. We've got the Sagittarius new moon coming up on the 19th here on the West Coast. But if you go into Europe, it's on the 20th. But it's that night, right? And it's also the day that Three Eye Atlas, the interstellar object, which none of us really know what it is, but there is so much speculation about it. It's going to be at its closest point to the Earth on the 19th. So right there with that Sagittarius new moon. And then on Sunday, on the 21st, we have the Capricorn solstice. So we've got another weekend that's just really jammed with so many things that are happening energetically. So we wanted to dive into that and share with you about that today. And for those of you who are like new to me, I'm Maggie Ostara. I'm a embodied human design expert and a sovereignty mentor for women at midlife who are really wanting to step into their sovereign purpose and power. So that's who I am. And Lauren, you want to just give us a little bit of a sense of the context of what's going on from, as an astrologer, you have a, big perspective on that.
Well, you just did a really good job of summarizing what's happening. The way I am looking at it as we are in an extraordinary part of the year, in an extraordinary year. And I know that every time I speak about astrology lately, especially at the solstices and the equinoxes, I'm really struck by how we are being asked to ride larger and larger waves
Mm,
of love, of consciousness coming in. And of course, whenever we expand our consciousness and we are integrating new frequencies, we're also being asked to let go of what has been holding us back from stepping into a more unlimited version of ourselves, let's say
mm, mm,
that is becoming more and more known to us, a way of accessing our inner visions, our guidance, our knowing that we are connected to something larger than ourselves and that the divine is within us and can act, and that we can act from that place. Also, these times are asking us, really demanding of us, that we invite all aspects of ourselves to this party and
mm,
that we bring our presence into places that we have hidden and denied and repressed. Some of those places are our bliss and our power that we've hidden and denied and repressed. And some of those places are parts of ourselves we just don't like that you can't hide in these moments, but we have access to inner resources. More and more it's becoming available around holding presence.
mhm,
When we do that, some of those places that seem like they were stuck, they dissolve. And the astrology of now is about dissolving the old and stepping into a new time because we're in a new curriculum.
yeah.
And each time that we have a solstice or an equinox, the energy is naturally amped up. You can even measure it in the meridians of the earth. They exponentially expand. And it's a time of celebration, but it's also a time right now of grief. Many endings and beginnings. So we have been in a 9 year, 2025 equals nine, and a nine is a year of completions, of graduation point. And we're stepping into a 2026 year, which adds up to one, which is a new beginning. We're ending the year of the snake, which ends on February 17th, and snakes shed their skins. So we've been in a year of a lot of shedding. And we're entering the year of the fire horse, which is a beautiful imagery around the astrological energy and sort of a synergy with the astrological energy. 'Cause astrological energy is that all of our outer planets have moved into fire or air signs. Fire and air together are very fast moving. So this time at the solstice and the new moon is a time that we're being gifted astrologically and galactically and from our guides an opportunity to really shed what we don't want to take with us
Mm.
into these new creations that are rapidly expanding
Yeah.
into
Yeah.
2026.
Yeah, and I think back, I mean, Lauren, you and I had our first conversation back around the spring equinox or the Aries equinox this year. And I think this is our fourth conversation. And we've been talking about this kind of stuff all year long. And I know, a lot of you have been, really tuning in. And sometimes I'm like, what else do I need to let go of? It's like, how much have I already shed? How much more is there to go? So if you're feeling any like release fatigue, like you're not the only one who's feeling that. And yet it's going to continue for a little while. It is going to shift next year. In 2026, we're going to get more into a building energy in the spring of next year. But this is a last time to really look at what am I kind of just I don't want to let that go, but your heart says you need to let that go, honey. But you're like just it's the last opportunity to
Some
really
things
look
are
at
letting
that.
go of us. Some things are letting go of us, or there's just this awareness, this is no longer an energetic match for me,
Right,
and I can't. And even though I'm trying to make it because it's worked so well in the past, it simply isn't working anymore.
right.
And now I need to step into the unknown. And we are really at a point of edge walking. And I'll describe when I get to, you're going to talk a little bit about the human design. When I talk about the astrology, we are on so many edges. We're edge walking. And when people are on the edge of the old and stepping into something new, a lot of fear can come up because we don't know what that's going to be. We just know we can't hold on to the edge anymore. We have
Yeah.
to let go and trust
Mhm.
that we're going to fly.
And just to say too, our brains and our nervous systems are really wired for a life that's predictable. Our brains really like it when things are predictable. And when it's not, our brains and our nervous system can get a little tweaked. So if your nervous system has been kind of tweaked lately, it's not surprising and it's not personal. Okay. But you do want to just take extra good care of yourself. And that's a whole nother conversation, which we're not going to have today. But just to say, do take extra care of yourself. Give yourself some more grace and also do that with the people around you because they're kind of tweaked too. And so let's just try to be as kind and have as much space for everybody to have their feelings, but try to do it in a way where we are able to release them and not just, stew in them and also not put them on each other. Every year at the Capricorn solstice is happening in December, right? The December solstice. We have a similar human design to a degree. It just says like you do in astrology to agree, the sun is moving, right? But there are also things that change every year. And the alignments that are happening between the new moon and the solstice are very similar because they're like what are they? Not even 48 hours apart, I think, or something like that. 48 hours. They're very close to each other. So what I want to do is just give you an idea of the similarities that are going on there, but then talk just a little bit about differences. So at the new moon in Sagittarius, which is at 5:43 p.m. Pacific time. So, if you're still in the United States, it'll still be on the 19th, but if you're in Europe, it'll be later. And you can look at what it is, what time zone you're in. But the sun and the moon are always together at a new moon, right? And so they're both in the gate 10. And then this time we also have Mars in the gate 10. So anytime there's any activation in a gate, it's important. It's like, pay attention here. But when you have two, it's like, really pay attention here. When there's three, it's like, hello, hello. So we've got three alignments happening in the gate 10, and the gate 10 is the gate of self-love. It's the gate of self-love. So one of these things is as we move into here in the northern hemisphere, right? We move into this expansive state where we start getting more and more light. We want to ground it and base it in our sense of self-love. And with Mars here, right? Mars is like our agency, right? And we're currently rehabilitating Mars. out of his distorted masculine expression that the Romans were so good at putting him into, and helping him reclaim his experience and his expression as the spiritual warrior, which is what we hold him as in human design, as a spiritual warrior. And so, how beautiful that the spiritual warrior is also lighting up the gate of self love. And it's for Mars too, right? It's for us, but it's also for Mars. And it's for those of us who have an Aries sun, we're ruled by Mars. That's always really good for us as well. So, this is a really good time for you to be like, being honest with yourself about how you feel about yourself. One of the things I've been in kind of the space of spiritual healing and personal growth for almost 30 years. And I often say self love is the final frontier. We learn how to love other people, we learn how to forgive other people, all of that. Like over time, as we grow and we mature, we do learn how to do that, right? But when it comes to ourselves, a lot of times it's really hard. And I know in the work that I continue to do my work all the time. I had a something that came through at the very end of a meditation recently where it was literally like I was like this little being, and there was someone with a stick
Mm.
hitting me. Except, of course, it was me hitting me. It wasn't like, right? And so our programming through many generations is that, right? Is that we are bad, we are wrong, we're not worthy, we're not valuable, we're not deserving, we're like just whatever, fill in the blank for what it is that runs through your mind, right? But it's going to be so up for all of us. So I just really invite you to look at the ways that you have loved yourself in the past, you've accepted yourself, you've understood yourself, and the ways that you haven't, and just see if you can bring a little more, care, love, kindness into that place where maybe you've really kind of beat up on yourself. And just know, yes, you experience that personally, but it's not personal on a certain level because we all got programmed into that. Okay. That's part of the matrix is to hate ourselves, honestly. So here we have the sun and the moon and Mars all saying, you can free yourself from that. You can free yourself from that. So that's all happening with the new moon. And then there's an interesting shift that happens when we go into the solstice, which is that Mars actually moves from the gate 10 into the gate 58, which is the gate of joy. So just in that 48-hour period, Mars moves, right, from that self-love into joy, self-love into joy. So imagine for yourself, what could you do for yourself around how you hold yourself so that you could experience joy? Right? And know that you've got this support of the spiritual warrior, of this agency that we have in order to do that. The other cool thing that happens is these gates are all on the G center, which in the human design system is half of the heart chakra. But it's the part that we think of as the heart because it's the love, right? It's the center for love and livability, identity, and direction. And so they're all here. And the what we call the incarnation cross in human design in astrology, it would be like it's like this. So it's what you get with the opposites, right? They're opposite, but they cross, right? There's another name for that in astrology, but so that's what it is in human design, and it's called the vessel of love. It's the vessel of love. And then because we've got a movement into the gate 5, we've got a whole channel that goes from the 15, which is the love of humanity, right? Because the earth is in the love of humanity or compassion. And it connects to the 5, which is about rhythm. And so it lights up the whole G center and the whole sacral center. So if you have either of those open in your human design, those are going to be lit up for you. And the other thing just for all of us is to think of this symbolically that our life force energy, right, in the sacral, right, is fueling our hearts. It's giving us what we need to expand and experience our hearts, to fully step into that incarnation cross. And it's doing it through our relationship with the living world. We need to align with what's happening in the living world in order to activate that and make that happen.
Mm.
So those were the kind of the big broad strokes I wanted to give. But I like every time I think about this, I just get so excited. I'm like, oh my
Love
God,
that
that
imagery of the vessel of love, the
the
vessel
vessel
of
of
love,
love.
and
Right.
how
And
that's,
Neptune is part of that, Lauren,
yes,
just so you know,
course,
too.
of
Yeah.
course. So in astrology, there are so many things happening right now. With the new, let's start talking about the new moon and that the new moon, the sun and the moon are at 28 degrees Sagittarius. And this is called the Vision Quest new moon because Sagittarius brings the energy, activates the energy of expansion of consciousness, that remembering that life is an adventure and to how can we expand to the widest possible horizons our sense of truth, truth telling, bringing meaning to our lives, consciousness, and also a sense of optimism and that the joy is in the journey itself, not in the destination. And so there's this expansion of the Sagittarius mysteries. But 28 degrees Sagittarius happens to be exactly conjunct galactic center. Galactic center is this, it is the black hole, basically, and it is what the Greeks called the Golden Gate. And it is a place that many indigenous cultures see as a place that divine energy, creative energy, what the gods and goddesses live at galactic center and radiate divine frequency. It's a portal of unconditional love, creativity. So whenever a planet is there, it is radiating that into our world. And
Yeah.
it's really
And it's
as
sometimes called the Great Central Sun, right?
yes,
Yeah.
yes.
Just so those of you, connect that together. Yeah.
Yes, the Great Central Sun. It's in so many traditions. And right now, well, at the new moon, the sun is there, the moon is there, Venus is there, and Mars is there. So they're all there. And at the solstice is also at 0 degrees Capricorn. It's still in the zone of galactic center. And by the way, the winter solstice can only be aligned with galactic center every 26,000 years. So it is,
Wow.
we
Okay.
are at the beginning of a whole new 20. So you may have heard people talk about 22 years, 2200-year cycles, like the age of Aquarius, Aquarius, or
The,
6,000 year
the
cycles
precession of the equinoxes, for those of you who might
is
know
the
the
procession of
precession
the
cycle, the
equinox.
Yuga cycle, all of
Yes.
that, the great year, those are
This
all
is
different names.
why many people
Yeah.
think that the Kali Yuga is ending, is that this point, but many, 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 many other points. And that in a 26,000 year cycle, there's also 13,000 year cycles. And we're at the beginning and the ending of one of those. And within that, there are 6,000 year cycles. And by the way, Neptune and Saturn that are conjunct at 0 degrees Aries in February, the last time they were conjunct at 0 degrees Aries was 6,000 years ago. So they are also, so there are cycles within cycles within cycles. Now, the winter solstice is at aligned with galactic center for 144 years. So it's not just today. It's every winter solstice of our lifetime till about 2070. So we really are seed people. And what you often hear astrologers talk about is that there are these waves, like right now, when a planet is at galactic center, there are waves transmitting from the heart of our galaxy, waves of unconditional love, light codes, aspects of our soul essence that are being woven into our diamond body through, and you could say the planets are doing it, but you could also say as above, so below, as within, so without. This is like, I'm an acupuncturist, so I think in terms of acupuncture, these planets are like massive beings of light and medicine. And so there is an energetic component to it, but they are also living inside of us. We are connected. So this is what is happening inside of ourselves, is that we are aligning with the center of the galaxy, with the heart of the galaxy. And at the same time, we have other interesting things happening at the new moon and the winter solstice, which is that Chiron, master healer, and Eris are conjunct in Aries. Eris, people think of her as the goddess of discord and chaos, but really she was a warrior goddess that wasn't really liked at the time that patriarchy was really setting in. And so she didn't get invited to a wedding, and she was a trickster. And so she threw an apple into the wedding party and said, for the fairest. And then Aphrodite started bribing people to say that she was the fairest. And anyway, it set off the Trojan War.
Trojan War. I know. It's like
But it got pinned on Eris, but really Aphrodite was the one that basically said, I will grant someone the most beautiful woman in the world if you say that I am the most beautiful goddess. And that was Helen of Troy, but she was already married, so that was a big problem. So in any case, Chiron is with Eris. And so, first of all, Eris didn't get invited to the party, and it created a lot of chaos. And Chiron is this master healer. And so this energy is being brought into the solstice and into the new moon. And what are we healing is what parts of ourselves don't get invited into the party of our lives that or haven't been invited into humanity, different aspects of the feminine, different aspects of the masculine that are now being called forth. And Chiron is there to support a profound level of healing and integration and embodiment. And this new moon is constellating this. And the Saturn Neptune conjunction is exactly squaring the new moon and the winter solstice. Neptune stationed direct and at 29 degrees Pisces on December 10th and will be at this 29-degree point for about 6 weeks, at least 6 weeks. And this is the last degree of Pisces, but it's also the last degree of the zodiac. So it's a huge ending before Pisces goes into the first degree of the zodiac and has a merging with Saturn. Saturn helps us to birth realities, to bring our dreams, to bring our spirit into form. And Neptune is unlimited possibility, unlimited potential, unconditional love. It's the spirit world. And so, what is happening is that we are bringing in new visions, new dreams, but also a highly activated aspect of ourselves, our higher self, which is always with us, being invited to be much more engaged, our sense of inner guidance, inner wisdom, inner direction. And that's why we're also being directed to see what is no longer a frequency match. We've been going through so much energetic change over the past several years. And now our lives need to match, our outer lives, our physical reality needs to match that energy. And so we're shedding. Here we are at the last few weeks of the year of the snake, which changes 3 days before Saturn and Neptune are conjunct, February 20th. We shift into the fire horse, which takes us on a new journey. Fast-paced change is what we can expect over the next few years. And so we have this moment of shedding, but also aligning with that light inside of us and feeling it and trusting it more than we ever have. Getting louder.
yeah. Yeah, and it's and just as a reminder for everyone, when we have a new moon, of course you want to do your intentions for the new lunation, but when we have a solstice or an equinox, right, it's a setup for the quarter. I mean, it's a setup till the equinox in March, right? So it's not just this day we have the solstice, right? It's a frequency that we carry with us through the springtime, right? As a kind of background frequency. So just be aware of that too, and let that inspire you to really take some time this weekend to, really, like I said, go into the self-love, activate your compassion because it's rest the earth is in the gate of compassion and the love of humanity. Know that, and it's going to be there both at the new moon and at the solstice, right? So it's the same vibration. It shifts a little bit just in terms of the lines of the gates, but it's basically the same. And to realize that any energy that you give to your understanding of this, tuning into your heart, like I said, the vessel of love, right? And letting the fears that you might have, because when things are dropping away, we have fear, we have grief. We're kind of like the things we relied on, we don't rely on anymore. Even if it's not traumatic, it's just like, gosh, that doesn't suit me anymore, or that doesn't fit me anymore. Like you were saying, sometimes things just drop away. And just, be as honest as you can with yourself in a loving way, because it will facilitate your ability to be more in command of your experience, because you'll be kind of future forwarding yourself, saying, okay, this is what I'm leaning into, this is what I'm letting go, rather than waking up one day and realizing something that really mattered to you is gone and you didn't prepare yourself, even though you knew it was probably dissolving. Because that's always harder, right? When you don't know the thing is coming. And of course, we all have experiences that are like, it's just like you turn around one day and something is gone that you thought you could rely on, right? That we all have those. But you can generate more command in your life by just giving yourself the time to pay attention to this. And I know it's, a holiday time and we're off doing holiday things and all of that, but this is such a potent, auspicious time. It's worth it to give yourself the gift of your own attention.
Mm.
Yeah.
We also have at the new moon, Three-Eye Atlas coming closest to the Earth, which is a, a body that is 7 billion years old that comes from outside of our solar system. And it's in October at the full moon, it went by Mars. And that full moon was an Aries full moon, and Aries is associated with Mars. Then in November, it went
Wait,
by,
before you go on, do you know that that was the day of the ceasefire in Gaza?
yes, yes,
Right?
yes.
Just to say, right? Just to, yeah. Amazing, right?
Yeah,
Came right next to Mars and the sea. We've been trying to get a ceasefire in Gaza for years, right? And so, yeah.
yeah, yeah. Then in early November, it activated Venus at the Taurus full moon, and the Taurus is associated with Venus, embodying the divine feminine. Then it connected with the sun, and we were having these massive solar fires at the time. So this is a body that has gases and minerals and ice that's melting with the sun, and frequencies and light codes and information that is really coming from love. Then it comes to the earth right around winter solstice, right at the new moon. And by the way, Venus and Mars that were just activated by Three Eye Atlas are also with the sun right now. And they're also with galactic centers. So they're all radiating those new light codes. So the divine feminine, the divine masculine, how we've held the feminine and masculine are going through, number one, a sacred marriage. They are together with the sun, and they are receiving transmissions that are being seeded into our consciousness in our bodies for us to work differently with those two flows within us and to bring much more of the magic of both and supporting each other.
Yeah. And
Wow.
it's just such a important time of our, both kind of healing our relationship to the mask. Like I had an awareness just in the last few days where it wasn't like I didn't know this, but you know how things become really clear at a certain point. And I was like, oh, because I have a lot of masculine energy. I mean, I'm an Aries, an Aries and Aries, it's conjunct my sun. I mean, like I'm pretty, um, and my South Node is an Aries. It's like they're all right there. Um, and it's not so much, and for years I've sort of thought like I need less masculine energy. I need to activate more feminine energy. And now I'm like, no, I need to heal my masculine energy. I need
Yeah.
to heal it. So it's the divine masculine, right? I need to heal my feminine energy. So it's divine feminine, because all of these have been so distorted over the last few thousand years.
Yeah.
So, and then we want the harmony, right? And like you said, the sacred marriage. Right? And I think that I know for me, that's an evolution in my kind of understanding of this in my own body is like, oh no, I love my masculine energy. I just want it to be more of the divine masculine, right? And not because it can have a tinge of aggression, right? Aries are kind of known for being aggressive people. So it's like being
Aggression
able to
can
work with that.
transform into protection, right?
What's that? Say it again.
Aggression can be transformed into protection, sacred protection. An aspect of Aries is Sekhmet, who it protects the birthing chamber and the sacred spaces, and
Mm,
so it's transforming the shadow of these archetypes into, and also I teach shamanic healing classes. And one of the things that we journey a lot with the archetypes and with the into the solstice and into Three Eye Atlas to receive direct transmissions. And one of the things we've been doing recently is really looking at how have we held ourselves back from being more in unity with all life? How have we held ourselves back from living from that spark within us that is divine? How have we held ourselves back from that connection between our divine masculine and feminine? And then we journey into places, and I journeyed into like many different points in history into the warrior, the warrior energy. And what I saw was that, particularly 6,000 years ago, when these like wild warriors came and they started to disrupt the societies that were very peaceful and hadn't known war before. And I had a lot of anger, like, ah. And I dropped into the consciousness of one of these warriors. And what I saw was there was no other perspective than you go out and you expand into other people's territories and you take them over. There was no access to compassion. There was no access point. And therefore, how could feel anything but compassion or forgiveness? Because
Mm.
part of our shadow or mine is the judgment of things that happen in history. The Romans, I have a real hard time with them. Um, and what happened.
Yeah.
With some of the sacred teachings. And so, but how can I drop into what they had available in their own awareness and consciousness that they couldn't have been different?
Mhm.
And that in some ways, when we do that, we release them. We release that shadow energy from our planet so that
Mm.
it can be transmuted into something higher. Because every time we focus on something we don't like, we empower it to be
Mm.
here, and that
Right.
goes for everything that's happening now. This time is such a time of planting seeds of the new energy and the new consciousness. And when we devote our energy and our creativity and our power and our strength and our courage and our joy to planting those new seeds, rather than fighting with what we don't like about what's happening or what we're really upset about, it doesn't mean ignoring it and it doesn't mean not taking action. It means being focused on the beauty you're bringing into the world,
Right.
how you're doing
Well,
that.
and just to piggyback on something you said there, Lauren, about, when we had this real sea change and, people were coming out of the north into the Mediterranean, which is something I learned recently, more historically, which is that the reason they were doing that is there were massive earth changes. Like their environment became inhabitable. They were no, they could not have, they couldn't live there anymore. And
Mhm.
so right now on our earth, there are places that are becoming less habitable. And we've got a massive amount of earth changes that are going on right now. I mean, I even just saw in Washington State, which is where I'm from Seattle, like there's flooding. Like there's like 6 rivers are flooding up there. Just as the most recent thing I saw. I mean, we had, the volcano go off in Ethiopia. I mean, volcanoes in Ethiopia? It's like 12,000 years ago, the last time it went. So just to say that we are in a time where there's also a lot of earth changes going on, and there's a lot of people who are in danger as a result of that, and people have lost their homes. I mean, there's just so if we can remember that that is also part of what instigated this shift, right? It wasn't just that there were these like aggressive male warriors who decided they needed to go and dominate the women. It wasn't simple like that, right? It was people who their homes were no longer a place they could live, right? And so just to say that, like you said, Lauren, I have more compassion, realizing they didn't have any way out of their thinking, but they also needed a place to live, and unfortunately, it's kind of one of the seed points of colonialism, which we've been trying to unravel ever since. But just to say, and for us to also have compassion for each other. And I think there is a lot more compassion now around the damages and the harm that's being done to people by the earth changes. But this is what we're in. And like I said earlier, the earth is literally expanding. And so there's gonna be things that fall away as a result of that. But I think there was actually a new island birthed recently. Did you hear about that? Right. So just to say, like, it's wild. It's wild.
That is the other thing astrologically is that around the solstice and equinoxes and around this new moon, we also have the symbolism and the energy of all of these indigenous gods and goddesses that are symbols of regeneration and renewal. And it is very important for us to understand that we're at a choice point. We can act from fear and contraction, or we can step into this expanding consciousness that's available to us and meet life with optimism, with adventure, not denying our grief or our anger, because that's part of what we need to invite to bring presence to,
Hmm.
but to trust that things are changing so rapidly. We were speaking earlier, and it's kind of like when you're in high school, you get to the point where you're going to graduate, and now you're going to go to college, or you're going to get a job, or you're going to travel, or you're going to start a family, or there's some whole new phase of life that's starting, and you can't imagine the new opportunities that will become available to you. You can't imagine who you're going to become. And maybe you're sad, or maybe you're sad because there are certain things that didn't get to happen in high school that you wished would. But you can't stay in high school. It's over. It's graduation point. That is where we are with our consciousness. Our consciousness, we are being invited and supported in dramatically and rapidly expanding our consciousness and connecting to an aspect of ourselves that absolutely knows how to meet these times with wisdom, with compassion, with joy, with courage, with strength. But we need to call that in, and then we need to align our thoughts and our actions with
Yeah.
that. And that's like Saturn saying to Neptune, well, great, your unconditional love and compassion and kindness and what about, and then to see the parts of ourselves that don't align to that, instead of saying go away or beating ourselves up, to actually get curious about that part and bring some presence. And what
Hmm.
happens is those parts start to dissolve in that larger presence. It's an amazing thing.
Well, one thing I want to just note here along the lines of, this is that Pluto has moved back into the gate 41. Pluto retrograded back into the gate 60, stayed in Aquarius, but retrograded back into the gate 60, which is conservation, which is, I like to think of the 60 as a filter. It's kind of like, because it's in the knowing circuit, so it's highly intuitive, and it's a place where we bring in downloads, we bring in insights and so on. And then the 60 is kind of like, well, what do we want to bring forward and what do we not want to bring forward, right? It's this place, like a discernment filtering process. So Pluto was there for like 4 years, right? And then moved into the 41, gosh, a year ago, January, and then retrograded back. And went back into the 60, but it just recently, last month, has gone back into the 41. And the 41 is the gate of imagination. And that's
Mhm.
why I wanted to say it is we've got the god of the underworld who is just saying, what are you doing with your imagination? What are you doing with that? Right. And I know sometimes I've been, I might annoy people sometimes for me to say, are you continuing to outsource your imagination to your streaming services? It's like, look, I like a good movie as much as the next person, right? But when we habitually outsource this primary creation energy that we have, right? And let other people decide what our dreams should be, it's a problem, right? I mean, it's how we disempower ourselves by doing that. So just to say, Pluto is there saying, okay, just clear out the stuff out of your imagination that is not working for you. Okay. Stop focusing on the thing, like you just said, stop focusing on the thing you're afraid of, because you're basically using your imaginative power to give energy to this thing you don't want, right? Reclaim it, take it out of that, and then decide, okay, in my heart of hearts, what do I want? And how can I begin to imagine that new earth that I long for? Right. And even if you can just make a few notes for yourself. Like like for me, I'm like, I want every person to have a place to live and good food and good water and somewhere to safe to live. Okay, can we just start there? Like that's a baseline and we can build from there. But just think about it for yourself. What do you want some of these elements are and and you might think, I'm just making that up. Yes, you are. But you're a creator, so make it up because that's what we do, right? That's what we do.
Carolyn Casey says the imagination lays the tracks for the reality train.
For the reality train. And Einstein says imagination is more valuable than knowledge,
Yeah.
right? So let's just, and yet we have been so, it's one of those things that actually makes me mad about the Matrix is how much it has co-opted our imagination, you know?
Mhm. But
Yeah,
that's changing. I mean, we have the possibility to really change that.
we do.
Where we are right now, we're riding a very large wave. What I'm talking about with Three Eye Atlas coming close to the Earth at the same time as this new moon, at the same time that we're aligned with galactic center, at the same time that Saturn and Neptune are conjunct and beginning a whole new seed point for a whole new, it's so much energy. It's such a big wave. You may be feeling at night, waking up and feeling currents of energy move through your body. And I want you to not think, oh no, something's wrong with me. I want you to relax, drop into it and relax into it, not make it a problem. You may be feeling really tired. One of the things that I've done in some of my classes is that we become a tree and we absorb the energy of Three Eye Atlas. And what we've noticed is Three Eye Atlas is bringing in minerals and frequencies and water that have not been in our solar system. So our water systems on the planet, our plants, our animals, and our bodies are actually integrating minerals and frequencies that are absolutely completely new to us. And that takes a lot of energy. It's tiring. It's not
Mm,
that easy actually to integrate this. It
absolutely.
is big. And we've had three, some of you are really young, perhaps, but when I was in my about 22 years old, it's 1987, and I went to the Harmonic Convergence and sat at the beach with a friend of mine who channeled Emmanuel, which was a huge being that was channeled in the 1980s. And I was in acupuncture school and I had just completed a yoga teacher training. And I was the seed. I was one of millions of people that was embodying these seeds of this new energy. I was studying and learning and growing in ways that I couldn't have imagined for myself even a year before. The seed that was planted has matured into an elder wise woman now, many, many years later. Decades and decades of an acupuncture practice, an astrology practice, and a coaching practice, and teaching practice that was seeded at that time. And right now, a huge convergence is happening that is planting seeds that will then, and this, what is happening now is like Miracle Grow. It's like Miracle Grow to the seeds that were planted in 1987. There were seeds that were planted in 2012. A whole new energy came onto our planet in 2020, in 2012. And many people have, you can trace back into your life a change that happened in your life, but it didn't happen overnight. It may have happened over years or even over the past decade that you've been going through a lot of changes and waking up to a lot of truths and uncovering a lot of gifts and taking new trainings that have taken you in a direction that you didn't know that you were going to go in. Now is such a time that a massive seed is being planted. And at the same time, it's being planted in a totally new soil. This is how big it is. And we're getting like a miracle grow that's coming in that we've never experienced before. So, over the next 5 and 10 years, what you are alchemically transforming in yourself and birthing in yourself, you are a seed pod for something new that is growing on this planet. And it is very important to recognize that these things don't happen overnight. Even though we have these alignments that happen overnight, the effects go on for decades.
Yeah, absolutely. And I just want to say one thing, and then let's go ahead and do your journey, Lauren, which is that after, I mean, just to say Three Eye Atlas, it's I just have to say this one thing. I heard a guy from NASA. So NASA is doing everything it possibly can to tell us that it's just a comet. And actually, I heard a professional from NASA saying, it walks like a comet, it struts like a comet. I was like, wow, they are really out of their depth trying to talk about this thing, right? Because they're trying to normalize it and they can't. Um, anyway, it's kind of funny. This is the first time you've heard about it. Go check it out because it's pretty extraordinary. Stefan Burns is a great source for that. There's other people who are talking about it.
I'd
But
say
just
about
this,
the Atlas is the wisdom of conjuncting with Mars at an Aries full moon, conjuncting with Venus at a Taurus full moon, coming by Earth at the winter solstice, and then it's going to combine with Jupiter
I was
and
just going to say, and then it goes to Jupiter, right?
spring,
So
right near the spring equinox at a Pisces new moon. And like the wisdom and the intelligence and the synchronicity of that is certainly not an
And
accident.
Uranus is going to go fully into Gemini right around that same time, also in March, right? So it's like, just to say, like these things, like
You
if
couldn't make it up.
if
Yeah.
somebody did a movie that
Yeah.
had all this in it, we wouldn't believe it.
We think it was soppy.
We
We
would
would
think it was like,
like,
oh,
oh, that's.
that's too much. That's over the top. But folks, we're living it. So here we are. And I love that it's going to Jupiter
That
because it's
miracle for us.
also like that seed that you're talking about, right? What does Jupiter do? Whoosh,
Yeah.
right? Yeah.
And so does Sagittarius. The Sagittarius energies are very expansive, so that this is coming close to the Earth at a time that's very expansive is also kind of cool. So yes, let's let go of all of this information and drop into having an experience.
I do want to say one thing before we do that, because we're going to end after we do this journey. So just know that we're just kind of going to end and we're going to say bless you and leave or something like that, right? So there's not going to be like a closing thing, but I do want to let you know I will put Lauren's information down in the description. So if you want to go find out more about her, it'll be down there. And I also want to let you know I'm going to do a half day event on January 17th, which is about bringing in the new earth energies and really grounding them for ourselves. And it's right before the human design new year, which is when the sun goes into the gate 41, which is where Pluto already is. So, just to know, put that on your calendar. I'll put stuff out about it later, but just know that that's coming in a little more than a month.
Let's take a moment to just shake, shake, shake. There's a lot that's been spoken about the heart. And in Chinese medicine, the heart is the mind. When we're looking at the mind, we're looking at the heart mind. And the other thing about the heart is it has 5,000 times more electricity than our brains. And that when we are born, our higher self drops into our heart, sends a hologram. Now, our higher self is infinite, but it sends a hologram into our heart and into the heart of every cell of our body. So, as we're beginning this, I want you to just invite in your higher self to be fully activated during this time that we're together and see if you can just feel this intention of we invite our higher selves to set our frequency to high as we journey into the lands of the unseen, into love. And starting with your feet, I want you to imagine and sense and feel your feet filling up with starlight. For you are starlight. Sparkly stardust. We're filling our whole body. We're inviting, acknowledging, and honoring what is already true. We're turning our attention. Letting that starlight move up into your ankles and your calves and around your knees. And breathing it up into your thighs and to your hips. And then letting that starlight dissolve some of the tension that we carry in our joints, these places of power in our bodies, right at the hips. Bringing that starlight into your belly, into your womb space, into your solar plexus, up into your heart, and down your arms, into your hands. Breathing it back up your arms and down your spine, filling your whole backside with the starlight, this awareness of the starlight, and up into your shoulders and neck and head. And just take a few deep breaths as you bring your attention down and into your body, being aware of being filled with your own starlight. Taking a moment to invite relaxation into any areas of your body that you notice that you're holding stress or tension. Taking 3 breaths. And let's take a moment to feel and sense our connection to the earth and our love and our appreciation for all the ways the earth is continually guiding our lives, supporting us to have a physical life. The abundance that we experience and the beauty, how much you love and appreciate her. And sense and notice her feeling that love and gratitude and sending back her love to you right into the bottoms of your feet. Just feel that you've got little hearts at the bottoms of your feet. And that heartbeat, that soul of the earth is connecting into your feet. And I want you to breathe in her light all the way through your body. You can sense and imagine and feel this as a green emerald light. And just breathe this all through your body on the next inhale, so that it comes out the top of your head almost like a waterfall, so that you are in an egg of green emerald crystal light. And take a moment to sense and feel this. Above your head is a golden sun. Notice the rays of the golden sun beaming. Feel the light on your head and radiating down through your whole body and touching the earth. And now take a moment to breathe that golden sun in through the top of your head, on the inhalation into your heart. And exhale that golden light through your whole body. One more time. This time, take the time to feel that golden light like warm liquid honey coming into the top of your head and just melting any tension, joining with that sun in your heart, and then radiating through your body, that divine light, and going down into the earth as well, joining the earth. And seeing that beautiful green egg around you now filled with little golden suns sparkling into the green. Now I want you to sense and imagine a shimmering light that's opening up a portal into a garden. And you feel yourself shifting into a beautiful garden space. You can use your imagination, a space that feels healing and beautiful and peaceful to you. And you're going to invite once again and acknowledge your higher self to fully be with you, your consciousness, and invite in any guides, teachers, healers, any power animals who come from love, kindness, compassion, and service to all, and harm to none, to be with you. As you notice a path opening up from this garden space, a very clear path that you feel a desire to walk on. You walk along this path, and to your left is a river. And you can hear the sounds of the river and see the sparkling light glinting off the river. And you can smell the air. The air is so pure in this place. And you can feel the sunlight on your skin as you walk along this path. To your right is a forest filled with evergreen trees like juniper and pine. And you can smell that juniper. And you're walking along this path, and you can feel yourself connecting to the earth of this place through the bottoms of your feet. You feel those little hearts that are there, and you can feel the earth's love coming up to meet you. And you come to a place, a clearing, and you see this beautiful temple that's made of light and water. And there are steps up to this temple. And you're invited to walk up the steps, these shimmery, crystalline steps. And there is a guardian. And the guardian knows your name. The guardian is here to welcome you into this space, has love for you in their eyes. This guardian wants you to feel welcomed. Can you find a place inside of you where you can welcome being welcomed? This being smudges you and anoints you with oil on your third eye, on your heart, on your belly, and on your back and between your shoulder blades. This guardian whispers into your ear that you are so loved, so appreciated. And it's time to drop into Neptune's temple. And you notice that around this temple are roses. And you can smell the roses. And they smell so sweet. And as you step over the threshold, you're invited to step into this beautiful spring. And once again, you can see the sunlight glinting off the water like diamonds. And you're invited to drop into the water that's so warm and pleasant. You drop into the water, and the water is inviting you to let go of how you hold within yourself an energy that is anything less than self-love. The ways that you judge yourself, the ways that you hold self-doubt, self-judgment. the ways that you hold yourself to be small. Not just the thoughts about this, but the energy that holds these thoughts together. And what the water is inviting you to do is to dissolve. Because Neptune is full of unconditional love and compassion and creativity, field of all possibilities. Neptune is also a field that can dissolve structures that have been held in place for a long time, seeds that were planted in your ancestors, in past lives that you still carry forth. This is a moment of grace. This is a moment where this water, this holy water, can dissolve the heartbreaks, the disappointments. And so you notice that your body begins to dissolve. Your skin, your flesh, your organs, right down to your bones. Everything dissolves. And there's peace and spaciousness. And you notice, you're aware that a beautiful goddess is coming forth. Can be Kuan Yin, or any version of the divine feminine that for you holds love, compassion, kindness, and healing. But this is a place that Kuan Yin lives in this temple. She has this beautiful vial that she has at her heart. And she smiles and she starts to pour the water from her heart into the spring that you're in. And the water absorbs the frequency of love, of joy, of strength, of potency, of innovation, enthusiasm, the limitlessness, the spark of the divine, the original intent that you had with this life. And as she does this, your bones reappear, your organs, your flesh, your skin, your hair, your eyes, all of it is back, filled with this shimmering light, filled with this starlight. And she's letting you know that she is returning to you fragments or aspects of your light that you let go of, that went into the non-physical. They're back. And you can feel the tingling in your body. And she asks you to just take a moment, because now she's pouring over the top of your head the energy of this winter solstice sun, the energy of galactic center, Chiron the great healer, Three-Eye Atlas, these are soul healers. They're returning to you and planting seeds for your inner divinity to flourish, for your creativity to flourish. And now just sit in the water, breathe in this light that's coming into the top of your head, all through your body, in waves and waves of love and beauty. You're still releasing and breathing in new light codes at the same time, relaxing into this water of love. And let's just take a few moments here. Now is a time to set some intentions from this place for living the most beautiful life, the most fulfilling life, and bringing your beauty into the world. You're guided to step out of this hot springs, and you are naturally, immediately dry and full of light. And you see this big, beautiful tree. This tree that's stretching its leaves out into the sun, and its roots deep into the ground. And the tree is saying, I will help you ground this energy. And so you can sit by the tree, or you can even merge with the tree, feeling the roots going into the ground, feeling the leaves opening up to receive, and the body of the tree, the trunk, bringing in the nutrition and flourishing. Feel the energy being grounded into the earth, the blessings that you have received, grounding them into the earth. Now you take the path, the golden path, back into the garden, passing the river and the trees, into that sweet, beautiful, healing garden space, bringing your full awareness back into your body, and just taking a few moments to be aware of what you're sensing and feeling and experiencing in your body now. And when you're ready, you can open your eyes. So, many solstice blessings.
Thank you, Lauren. That was beautiful. So grateful. And I believe that Lauren does do a whole audio for her community. So if you want that, do go and reach out to her. And I will do another video about this auspicious time from a human design point of view also. So do check out those. And, you know, in a world where you could be anything, be kind.
Yeah.
Much love to all of you. Bye for now.